Welcome to Our Layered Life, where we talk with women business owners about family, faith, and business, and then every relationship in between. Here's the truth. Women drive over $80 trillion in global spending every year, yet only 2% of those dollars go to women-owned businesses. What if we took that to 5%? We could change the dynamics of our economy and millions of lives. One story, one layer, and one woman at a time. Because her life is layered and her influence can change the world. Today, I'm so excited to be interviewing Kimber with Pearl Pop, another one of those amazing women that I met up at Glacier. I mean, I don't know, probably 80% of the women that we've had on thus far is all,
Oh,
just
that's
come from the
amazing.
connections of that trip.
Oh, it
And
was so good.
yeah, it was so stinking good. And last week we interviewed Bren with Slate, and we thought it'd be so
Amazing.
fun to just kind of keep the
Yes, the oral care theme going.
Yes, let's do this. So today's conversation is about the beginning, the quiet season of building. My guest is Kimber, the founder of Pearl Pop, a growing brand still in its early stages. This episode is for anyone who's wondering if starting small really matters and whether growth can still be meaningful even through those beginning stages. So tell me,
Yes.
how long has Pearl Pop, what dates? I know in Glacier, you were very new.
Yes, we are very new. We've just been around for a year.
Yes, so we're 1 year in.
Exactly. And I think if we back up the story a little bit here in terms of you were talking about women and how we need the conversation we had before we started, just it's amazing that you started what you did 17 years ago. Like that's incredible, right?
Thank you.
Like there's more women starting things, but we need more of that still. And we need those businesses to be supported, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like you have just kind of like blazed the trail for a lot of us who are now coming into this game a little bit later. But for my personal journey, I kind of want to back it up for you. I think it's interesting that I had a full different career before this. I was a TV reporter and anchor in New York.
I didn't know that. In
Yes.
New York?
Yes, I was in New
that's
York
so
and
cool.
Connecticut, New Jersey.
Okay.
And so I won a couple Emmys for news and sort of that sort of thing. Had that career. Then I was mostly home with my kids. Then in 2020, I became a single mom.
Okay.
And I knew I had to regroup. I had to do something different. And I feel like the part of my story that I'm like, I hope gives other women hope is that I remember when I became a single mom, then I was like, okay, what do I do? Like yes, I was successful at something. I did something, but now I've got to create something different for my kids. And I
Right.
need to kind of revamp and reinvent myself, right? So I applied to the BYU Executive MBA program.
Oh, interesting.
And I flew up from Texas to Utah every other weekend for 2 years. And my mom would fly from California to Texas to watch my kids so that I could do this. And it was this crazy, dance that we played for that time period. And Pearl Pop started as a class project.
Really?
And so we went into this entrepreneurial class with Niall Hatch. He's this like famous BYU entrepreneurial professor. And my partner and I, we had partnered together in several other classes because he's an engineer, he's a scientist, and so we're co-founders together. And I am more of the creative, the storyteller, strategy, that sort of thing. And so we were just a really good dynamic, completely opposite, but great duo, right? And so this started as a class project. And the problem we wanted to solve, right, as moms, as women,
Yes.
we're always like, what is the problem to be solved? How do we make other women's lives easier? How do we make you more empowered as a mom, as an individual, as a woman? And so what we wanted to do was to figure out the bedtime struggle of getting your kids to brush their teeth.
Right.
Because you have to ask them 5 times. They make
At
a
least.
mess.
Yeah.
Yes, at least. Who knows if they even brushed? You finally just yell at them and say, go to bed.
Right.
And you feel like a bad mom.
Yeah.
And you had maybe had a really good day up till that point. And then it just like all went kaput, right?
Right.
My dad's an orthodontist. And like you would think my kids would brush their teeth, but no, they were terrible at it.
Right.
And there was toothpaste everywhere. It's like they're little artists in the bathroom. And you're like, thank you. That's not helpful.
Right.
So my thought with this and why Bryson and I came together was if you don't have to yell at your kids 5 times to brush their teeth or clean up a messy sink, you are going to feel like a better parent.
Sure.
You and your kids are going to smile more confidently knowing that you used clean ingredients and that you took care of something that was normally like a chore, but now it became something fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the origin of Pearl Pop is where we started. And so we made some prototypes in that class. And then about a year later, we reconnected and we're like, I think we're kind of onto something. Like, let's give this a try.
Mm-hmm.
And so my partner tinkered in his basement for about a year. I set up like a lab and we worked with food scientists and oral care experts and different things. And he came up with this formulation. But then the problem was last summer, so summer of 2024, we couldn't find anyone to manufacture this. because personal care product companies don't do gummy type form
Mm.
things. And then toothpaste companies don't deal with nanohydroxyapatite and the other ingredients that we would need in a toothpaste, right?
Mhm.
So then that's where we started out small. And I went to my partner last summer and I said, look, give me a couple hundred bottles. And he's like, you realize I'm going to have to like hand pour these. And I said, I know, but give me a couple hundred bottles and then we can prove that we can sell them, that people want this. Let's, even though we had done focus groups, we had done surveys, we had done all the research on the market and things, but there was still that hesitancy, right? Because we're bootstrapping this. And
Mhm.
I'm a single mom. He's a dad working another job. And so then he put these bottles together. We sold out real quick and we knew, okay, I think we might. Even still, I'm like, maybe we're onto something. Maybe. I don't know. We've been going
Right.
for a year and it's going
Right.
great. So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of the story. And my hope is that other women, and I've had to become a different mom through this, right? My
Mhm.
kids were used to me being around a lot more. I'm working a lot more now. But my hope with this is that they are going to see in themselves that they can do hard things and that they can do big things. And even if you think, I have no idea how to do this, where do I even get started? And it was cute. One of my girls' teachers the other day said to her, she was trying to coax her into staying at some school event. And she's like, June, just stay. You can tell me about your next business plan. I was dying laughing.
That's so
And
cute.
it's cute to see the impact that it's had on them that like
Sure.
her teacher knew, okay, I can get her to come and go to this activity with me if I just tell her, tell me about your new business
Right.
plan.
Oh my
And I was
gosh,
like,
how
oh my gosh,
cute.
I love that. So
I do
yeah, but
too.
you just got to get started, right? You
Mhm.
just got to start trying and putting one foot in front of the next. And who knows if it'll work? Ask me in a year, but
Right.
we'll see. We have to try, right?
It's so cute. Something that stuck out last week with Bren is she said, I'm sitting in 2025 thinking, "Oh my gosh, I could have done so much more." But
Yes.
3 years ago, Bren, if I was 3 years ago telling her that in 3 years we would have this deal and raise $2.5 million
Yes.
in angel funding and all of the things that she's done in 3 years. But when she's sitting in it today, we act like it's not enough and we
Yes.
forget where we started and where we've come from. And I was just like, holy crap, Brent. Like, did you ever in a million years believe that in 3 years from now, from then, that you'd be where you are today? But it takes just starting, just like you said. Just do it. Just start. Don't have all the
Yes.
answers. You're not gonna be she's like, I should have gone to school to be a business major, but now I've already got that major after 3 years of running my own business. So I was like, yes,
Yes.
you do. Probably a better education, not probably, a way better education than if you went and got that piece of paper, right?
1,000,000%. And it's just having the courage to try.
Sure.
Which I think that for me, I feel like I'm like a recovering perfectionist of like, I want things to be just right. I want it to get done. And it was actually something that Kristen Andrus posted last year. And I so vividly remember this. She said something to the effect, I should have looked this up before I came, but something to the effect about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
And that she always wanted to be a B student. And I was not a B student. I was an A. Like,
Right.
I will get this done. I did undergrad in 2.5 years. Like, yes, we can do this. But then what that does is that unlocks so many opportunities for you because if you don't try and if you don't fail, then you'll never get anywhere.
Sure.
Right. And so
Sure.
that's something I feel like I've been trying to talk with my kids about is that if you try something and it doesn't work out, awesome.
Right.
You tried.
Right.
And I think that in my head before divorce, it was like, you want to have things go just right and you're trying your best, right? But if you don't try new things and if you don't put yourself out there, then you'll never know.
I love that. I can't remember where I think I was listening to How I Built This, and the person that was on said, "Say yes to everything."
Yes.
Out the gate, say yes. And then if you go back and you need to take a little time to think about it and then it doesn't fit, then you can go back and say, this isn't actually going to work. But she just said, say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. Because when we say no, because we think, oh, I'm not prepared for that, or I'm not good enough for that, or blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, we miss out on so many opportunities. So say yes. Just say yes
I
and
love
let the
that.
details work itself out.
I think especially as women, we discount ourselves. I mean,
Sure.
there's research on this, right? That
Right.
shows that a man is like, "Oh, I'm way overqualified for this. I can totally get this job." And a woman's like, "Oh, I don't know if I quite have the
That's
qualifications."
so
Where it's like,
true.
right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
no, the woman actually probably was more qualified in
Right.
this in some situations,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And I think that's totally it. It's just like having the faith to believe in yourself. And it's not for you, but just to show your kids to do it with your friends, like everything like that. I feel like this female founder community is amazing. And I'm so inspired by all these other women who are sharing their stories because I'm like, okay, if they can go out and try to get this meeting or try to get this deal, then I mean, I don't know much either, but if they could do it, maybe I could try as well.
Sure, sure. It's proof, right? Um, we talk a lot about as women. I think we get in a lot of times we're in the cycle of competition, right? We think we're competing with one another, and
Yes.
that's it's not true. God created us to be creators, and we are the ultimate creators, honestly, in
Yes.
God's plan. And when we start to realize, and this is in Mel Robbins' book, what's it called? The newest one.
To let them.
Thank you. Let them. Uh, she talks about how important it is that we don't let other people's successes tell us that we can't do it. We actually let their successes prove to us that it
One
can
million
be
percent.
done. Right.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
we use
Yes.
success in that regard, one, we're not competing. We're not
Yes.
going up against toe to toe with that person and saying, well, I'm going to go take all your customers. I'm going to take all your ideas. No, we're actually, we need to create based off of what proof we have that it can be done. And then we create something different and better and not even better, but in our own ability to create, and we multiply and we
Yes.
actually exponentially grow together instead of being on this competitive plane where, we think we're tick for tack. And if you're growing, then I probably can't grow, but we all can grow
No.
together.
No, I 100% believe in the rising tide, or is it rising tide
Yeah.
theory?
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Yes.
That is, as we all support each other and look for ways to help build each other up, then it only helps everyone grow. And
Absolutely.
especially, I feel like within, I was actually just walking the ice cream aisle last night, and it's so funny now, but in my mind, I was like, I wanted to buy some ice cream, and I was like, oh, I wonder which one's female founded. And I was like
Oh,
looking through,
I love that.
and I'm like, okay, I've gotten so, but I'm like, I want to support other women
Yes.
who are doing amazing things. And it's like so silly to be like trying to Google real quick in the ice cream aisle, like, oh, okay, Jenny's, that was from, blah, blah, blah. And, but I think it's so important that we look for ways, especially as women, to support each other. And it's not a competition, it's
Mm-mm.
not anything like that. In fact, what's so cool and beautiful about this is that there is so much space to grow. And especially as we can show that to our kids and to our coworkers and things like that, that there's so many opportunities out there, especially when you get involved and help each other and build each other up.
Right. I think often too, with Heavenly Father, with God, we think that He has like this plate of blessings up there, right? And
Yes.
He's like, oh, two blessings to her, two, and this plate diminishes as He hands blessings out. His plate of blessings is infinite. It's just because
Yes.
she's receiving 3 doesn't mean you only get 1, or he's receiving 6 and now, oh, there's not enough to go around. It's not, they're infinite. He blesses us all infinitely based on how we're choosing to live our lives, right? And
Totally.
every time I think about that, I think, oh, his blessings are infinite. It's not like this gal's killing it and that's probably why I'm not. It's
Yes,
that it's timing and it's God's hands, and how we grow and how we develop is really a beautiful dance between you and him, and what that looks like and what's in the best interest of all those that stand in your wake of influence, right?
for sure. And I think as you help, I mean, I talk with my kids so much about building others up, not tearing
Right.
down. We're builders. And I think as you do that, and you don't do that for this reason, but I think naturally because of that, it helps you as well.
Sure.
And so it builds you up, and so then it's just this like awesome cycle, right?
Right.
Of everyone rising up together.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I want to go back to your class at BYU.
Okay.
This is something that I didn't realize that that's kind of where Pearl Pop was born. But where, like, what was your first yes in the process where you were like, I think we're going to do this, and then the first person that was like, yes, I think this will work.
I think it was just as it started to come together and we did that first presentation at the end of the semester of like, here's our project, here's the people we studied, here's the problem we found, here's how we solved it. And it just kind of made sense.
Mhm.
Like every single person, every parent we talked with is like, yes, this is a problem. Like I have not, and in fact, some mom wrote on a review, like, my kids would never do that. Da, da, da. They always brush their teeth with blah, blah, blah. And like all the other moms started jumping on them, like, you're lying. This isn't true. Every mom's done with this.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's some angel children that don't, but chances are your kids have made a mess with toothpaste at some point in time.
Right. Exactly.
And so I think just realizing like wait, this really does solve a need. This isn't some made up problem. This isn't something. And I think realizing too that it can reach that higher emotional level, right, of the marketing ladder,
Sure.
which is like, I want you to feel like a more confident mom. Like when
Right.
I see a mom boarding a plane and she's got a crying, or boarding or getting off a plane, we'll say, and she's got a crying kid, I'll be like, you got this. You did awesome. Like, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I just want to like give them that hug and be like,
Right.
you are amazing.
Yes.
And so if we can empower parents to have one less pain point in their day,
Yes.
then that just feels awesome.
I agree. And I think getting kids to brush their teeth, that's a pretty high pain point in morning and in
Yes.
the evening. Both
Yes.
times that are very inconvenient of the days.
Totally. Totally.
So I want to know really quick, because I don't feel like we've really explained it. Explain to us exactly why Pearl Pop is a better solution for helping your kids brush their teeth.
I'm so glad you asked because on a podcast, they can't see this, right?
Right.
So it is a soft and chewy pearl, we call it. It looks more like a gumdrop or a gummy.
Hmm.
So you pop it in your mouth, chew for a few seconds, and it kind of starts to break into little pieces. And then you brush those pearl gummy bits into your teeth until it's mostly smooth. So you brush for 2 minutes, spit, don't rinse. So it's great for on the go.
Sure.
We have moms that do it with their kids, like in the car, at the soccer
Yeah.
field, different things. And then that way, the nanohydroxyapatite, which is the safe fluoride substitute, keeps working on your teeth even after you brush.
Wow.
So it's really cool because it started out as like we're solving this pain point of kids not brushing and making messes and the stress of that for parents. And then what we realized is because it sticks to your teeth, the form that we made it in, which we've got patents on it, it's the first ever, it actually works better. And so
Wow.
it's kind of crazy. So then we came out with an adult line because adults were using our kids, bubble gum and peach rings. And they're like, can we have some mint, please? And we're like, yes, I'll help you out here.
That's awesome. So what surprised you the most when you first started?
What surprised me the most? Oh, that's a great question. I think you go into it realizing you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But realizing that if you surround yourself, I feel like with the right people, then you can figure out more than you thought you were capable of.
I love that. I love
That
that.
you obviously need to do the work and, whether it's reading books, whether it's studying things online, different things. Um, but also if you are around other women or men that can kind of help lift you up and teach you things that you didn't know and look for ways to give back to them, obviously, as
Hmm.
well, then I think there's more capability within you than you realize.
I love
That
that.
I thought there were things like I couldn't do, or like I was working on adding some, which this is a very risky thing. I was adding some code to our website this week. I don't code. I don't do
Right.
anything like I really shouldn't be doing that. But we don't have somebody else. We don't have somebody else to pay to do that at this
Sure.
point. We're
Sure.
new. And I was like using ChatGPT to help me figure out how to install this Google tag into the code, the liquid form. I don't even know what that means, but that's where I was working. And I didn't break it.
Oh,
So I was like,
good.
wow, okay, like it actually worked.
That's fantastic.
So it's like you can do things, but it's all about trying. It's all
Sure.
about that first step of getting started.
Sure. That's amazing. I love that. I mean, I would kind of like to just reflect again on the fact that the whole reason Pro Pop is here is because you did something really hard, right? And
Yes.
you went back to school and no, you didn't go back to school in your neighborhood community college. You went back to school thousands of miles away. Your
Yes.
mom sounds like she was a saint to jump in and to be
Amazing.
that support. But that really is what it takes. It takes doing hard things.
Yes.
And I think you proved that and how cool it is that out of an education grew literally what could be your lifestyle from here on out.
Yes.
That's cool.
Totally. And I think that it's so much of it is just taking that first step, right? With those hard things where you're
Yes.
like, I never thought that I could go back and get my MBA, or I never thought that I could, start a company or different things. But then it's almost like I had to hit that low point, right? After becoming a single mom to realize, wait, I've got nothing to lose. Like
Sure.
all I can do is try. So what if I fail at this point?
Sure.
Let's
Sure.
go for it and see what happens.
What was the hardest thing at like harder than even you expected?
The hardest thing, I feel like that's every day still, right?
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
just trying to figure out one, it's like, what do I not know? And how do I fix that? And then
We just had
Joy
an
had it here.
interruption from the puppy.
It's such a cute puppy.
Anyways, every day. Every
Yeah,
day.
just trying to figure out what do I not know and how do I figure out how to learn that or get the resources or find someone who does or outsource that, whatever it is, right?
Right.
Because so much of it is you don't even like, what's the next step? I don't know. How do I
Sure.
figure out how do we market to a bigger audience? How do we get into a big retailer? How do we do this or that? And you just have to figure out what do I not know and who might know that.
Right. Not it's not what, but who, right? Or it's not
Yes.
how, but who. It's one of my favorite books. I love it. We think we have all the answers. We don't. Other people know way more than we do. And
Yes.
sometimes it's just best then recognize that we don't. And
Yes.
we just go find somebody that does.
Totally. Okay. So that kind of pivots. This is a different direction, but speaking of the one who knows
Yes.
everything, right?
Hmm.
So this is going back to when I was going through the divorce and I was doing my MBA and everything. I moved into a new house and my realtor gave me an orchid. And I don't know why, but somehow I became very attached instantly to this orchid.
Interesting.
And I looked up online, like, how do you keep an orchid alive? Mind you, I've never kept a houseplant alive in my life. So, like, why did I think now was the time to try to ambitiously go after this?
I love it.
And so it said you do an ice cube in there once a week and you know, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay, so I'm like super dedicated. Okay, this orchid's looking good. Like,
Okay.
I'm not kidding. I'm very proud of this. When I go out of town, I get babysitters for this orchid. I
Oh,
take it to my
wow.
friends. I send it with my nanny. Like, I am like, we are all in. My
I
mom,
love
when
it.
she comes into town, I'd be like, oh, it's Friday. That's the ice cube day. You got to give it the ice cube, you know? And so
Yes.
we were like this, it was beautiful and it was
Yeah.
just gorgeous. And so then I go through the MBA program and in my head, I just thought, I was like, you know what? God gave me this orchid to say, even if you think this is so hard that you can't go on, that you can't do anything else, you've been able to keep this orchid alive. And so I put so much faith and trust in this plan. So I'm going to the MBA program and I'm telling one of my girlfriends one day about, we were talking about how hard the program is and just it's a lot, right? Like it's an MBA program. It's a really competitive, impressive program. They are expecting a lot of us. And then I'm also going through a divorce. I've got 4 little kids. Like and I'm traveling. There's just a lot going on. And I'm like, but I've kept this orchid alive. And like, I think that's God telling me, like, if you can just one little ice cube, just keep putting one friend in front of the next, you can keep going. Fast forward 2 years later, my girlfriend comes to Texas to visit me, and she had known about the orchid. And she had kept a little secret to herself that she didn't share with me that she was a little suspicious of this orchid, like the fact that I had kept this orchid alive. So she comes to my house and she goes, Kimber, so that's the orchid. And I'm like, yes, this is the orchid that my testimony has been so firmly rooted in. Like
Yeah.
that this orchid is beautiful. It never changes. It's gorgeous. And I've kept it alive. I don't know how. I've kept
Yeah.
it alive. And she says to me, she goes, Kimber, do you think it's real? And I was like, no, 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 this orchid is real. This orchid is, I'm like, she's like, Kimber, maybe go take a look. So I slowly walked across the room and I was like, no, 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 it's real. It's real.
Yeah.
I've kept it alive. We've had babysitters. Like the water
Yeah.
goes into it. Like, yes, it stayed alive. Like
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And she goes, Kimber, it's okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe it's not real. So I realized that my orchid is not real.
Okay.
That God gave me a fake
A
orchid
fake
because he knew that I just needed something to like keep my faith going.
Yes.
In my head, I'm still convinced that this was a real orchid at some point. And I'm like, hey, it would totally make sense that my nanny, when she babysat it one time, killed it. And then she replaced it with a fake
With
orchid.
a fake orchid.
That
True.
makes sense to me.
Right.
So I asked my nanny and she's like, no, it's real. We've watered it. We've taken such good care of this. And I'm like, no, Evelyn, it's not real. And she's like, no, it has to be real. I'm like, I know it's not. And she's like, I never replaced it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to think like who else babysat my orchid when I was out of town for a long time. So then I call up my realtor and I'm like, hey, he's the guy that gave it to me originally when we moved into the house. I said, hey, Rich, super random question here, but like that orchid you gave me 2.5 years ago, was that real or was that a fake orchid? I mean, it's real, right? And he's like, I'm pretty sure it was a fake orchid. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm so convinced that at some point this had been a real orchid.
Yes, I love it.
And the life lesson I learned from this that I feel like has persisted with me through starting a business and becoming a single mom and all these other things is that God gives us what little bit we need. And I had just needed something to hold on to. And this orchid is like a sacred thing to me now. That I'm like, God knew I needed a fake orchid and for me to think that it was real and for me to think that I was keeping it alive so that I could keep everything else together and keep going and keep, showing up the next day
Yes.
during this hard time.
Yes.
And so I just think it's amazing that anyways, I've had friends, I've given other friends orchids now. And
Fake or real?
okay, so here's the thing. I actually gave someone a real orchid
Oh,
and they had gone through a really hard time.
yeah.
And I told them about my story. This was before I knew it was fake.
Oh, shoot.
And so I was like, guys, you can totally keep it real. And anyways, this person had been through a really hard time who had lost someone close to them. And I was like, you can totally do this. And it'll be such a strength to you. And it has been so much comfort to me. And anyways, so shortly thereafter, when I found out, because I gave it to her, and then shortly thereafter, a couple months later, I found out that mine was fake and not real. And so I went back to her and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I was like, I am such a liar. Like, I had no idea that I was watering a fake orchid. And she's like, Kimber, I didn't want to disappoint you and tell you, but I killed it within like a couple weeks. And she's like, at first I was like, wow, how did Kimber keep this alive and I can't? And like, what does that say about my faith? And anyways, we had a really good laugh because she's like, I had a feeling something was up. I'm like,
Oh, shoot.
so,
I just
so
have to
look for
ask,
the fake
where's the
orchids away.
water?
I don't know.
Where
because
did the water go?
it must evaporate. I guess Houston's humid and I don't know. It hasn't gotten moldy. The base looks good. And I didn't touch it. I didn't dare touch it because I didn't want to ruin it.
Right. Okay.
Then once I did touch it, after 2.5, 3 years, I
Yeah.
realized that
It was fake.
it was fake.
That's okay. You
It's
gotta fake
okay.
it till you make it.
That is 100% it.
Right? You gotta
Oh.
fake it till you make it.
People say to me, like, they'll be like, oh my gosh, you have it together, or like you're doing the X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, I am just a really good actress. Like, I can put on a really good front because if you convince yourself that you can do something,
Yes.
you might just be able to do it.
Yeah, it's true. I
And
100%
so-
agree with it.
Yeah. In fact, one of my kids the other day, that same kid that was showing her business plans to the teacher, she really wanted to do a lemonade stand on a Saturday. And I was like, girl, we are tapped out. Mom cannot do this. We are like X, Y, and Z. No,
Yes.
not this week. We'll do it, but not this time. And she goes, Mom, I'm not trying to scale or to grow it. I'm just trying to start it. And I said, oh, you're not trying to scale it? And she goes, no, we're not scaling it yet, Mom. We're just going to start it. And I died laughing. So I was like, clearly she's been listening to my
Yes.
conversations about how we're trying to scale things
Yes.
up and move things forward. And so,
That is amazing.
yeah,
That's amazing. I think my favorite part of that whole story is, well, I'm really
that
glad
is the first time I publicly put that out there.
Well,
I have been holding
I'm
on to that one.
so glad that we were the first ever to hear of your
Oh.
fake orchid
I need to show
story.
you a picture.
I do. Can
Yeah.
I please see? I want to see this.
Yes.
That might be the cover for this podcast is your fake orchid.
Yes.
But this is my favorite part. My favorite part is you recognizing that life was so hard and that the Lord was saying one ice cube is enough,
Yes.
right? It wasn't even about that lesson wasn't even about keeping the orchid alive.
No.
It was about you consistently showing up once a week
Yes.
and putting one ice cube into that orchid. And
Yes.
that most of the time is all that the Lord requires is those small, steady, consistent steps. And when we put those all together with his help, the orchid stays alive. Fake or
Yes.
not. Fake or not, right? Fake or not. I
It's
love
amazing.
that.
You can keep fake orchids alive for a really long time.
Yeah,
And
you
they look
can. I
great.
mean-
they don't ever change. My girlfriend was like, well, did the petals? I'm like, no, mine's amazing. Mine doesn't change at all. It was the first orchid I had ever had.
I
So I was
just
like, wow,
love that
this
you
thing-
gave it to another friend and she literally killed it within weeks. And she's like, I suck.
Yes.
Kim can keep hers
I
alive for
felt
2.5
so-
weeks.
I
or
felt
years.
so bad because she'd been through this tragic situation. I was like, I'm so sorry. I totally led you astray into thinking
Yeah,
for you
But
to
it
think
was
that it was
just what
you.
she needed.
No, and she's like, it actually made me laugh. And you know what? Sometimes God just knows.
Oh, I love that story. That is one of my favorite stories I've ever heard in my
Yeah.
entire life.
So this orchid is, someday at my
You have to
funeral,
send
this
me.
orchid will be
Yes.
like the prime.
It needs to
Yeah.
be honestly blown up in a really big. You need a picture of this orchid.
Yes.
Professionally take a picture and frame that bad
A picture
boy.
of me with the orchid.
Yes.
And my
Thank-
kids.
And I think you need to include an ice cube
Yes.
in the picture.
Yes, the ice cubes.
Yes.
I think that's what's so important about this too, with it being just an ice cube, right? Is that a lot of times we think our efforts aren't enough.
Right.
And it's like, I can't do the big service project. I can't show up in this way. I can't go to this church service or whatever because I don't have time for this full thing.
Right.
And I think that, and this is part of going back to Kristen Andrus's 80-20 rule, which is something is better, and a good effort of something
Mhm.
is better than nothing.
Right.
And so I feel like there's been times this fall where I had a friend going through a hard thing and I felt bad. I felt this guilt that I hadn't showed up for her better. And then one day I just was like, I'm going to run out and grab a sandwich. I'm going to pick her up a sandwich at Jersey Mike's and bring it back to her.
Mhm.
And I felt dumb because it was like I didn't have a card. I was literally writing on the outside of her bag. Like, it was not cute. It was not anything special, but I think it had an impact that day.
Right.
And our meager efforts, whether that's like, hey, I can show up to this church service or temple service and I can only be there for a short little bit, or I'm not dressed the way I would have wanted to be, or whatever. I think God accepts what I've learned in the past 5 years is like God accepts those meager efforts.
Love it.
And I feel like a lot of times I'm showing up and I'm just like, Heavenly Father, this is all I have.
Mm-hmm.
These are my pennies that I can give right now. And I've got nothing left in me. And they're dull, they're rusty, they're not even good ones. But I'm gonna hand that over. And I think a lot of times I probably do it even begrudgingly or with like, I don't even know if this will make a difference. Sometimes lacking that faith. But I think when you consistently do that, then helps you replenish that faith and that um, trust in God and your relationship and your Savior. So living in Texas, so many of our friends go to church and are Christian and have other faiths too. And we just talk about more Jesus. Like my whole thing is like, let's stand up and clap and like, let's do some gospel, music. My kids perform songs in church that probably are not performed elsewhere. And people love it. And I love it because I'm like, we just need more Jesus and more love.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if we just see people and go, one of my kids was saying the other day, a teacher was having a really hard day and was being mean to the kids. And I was like, what do you think she has going on? And she's like, well, I know she's had a lot of doctor's appointments lately. And I'm like, well,
Oh, interesting.
there's probably more to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to figure out what that is. But I think we can give her some grace that if she was short with you guys and yelling at the class today, let's just think about it that from that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like giving that little bit of offering to God, but to others, but also to ourselves,
Sure. Sure.
right? To
Mm-hmm.
say, I don't feel like I'm showing up as the, co-founder as I would like to today. I'm not showing up as well as the mom I want to be, but I'm showing up and I'm trying.
Right.
And tomorrow, hopefully I can build on that.
Right. I love that. Oh, I love that. What a wonderful, wonderful message. Sometimes all it takes is an ice cube, right?
Yes.
Just an ice cube. I love it. Fake it till
Lots
you
of
make
ice
it.
cubes.
Lots of ice cubes. But one a week.
They magically disappear into air, I guess. I'm not sure. Like, where did these ice cubes go? It's a pretty small pot, too. It
I
really
love
doesn't,
it
none of it
so
makes sense
much.
now.
It is the best story I've ever heard. Oh my goodness. Okay. About yourself in this season, in this last year. What have you learned about yourself that you are just honestly so grateful for?
I feel like I'm grateful for all of the relationships that I've made with people
Mm-hmm.
and the inspiration that they've been to me and to my kids. And just realizing that you can do hard things, that it's not too late. I was having a really hard time last year with turning 40, and I've never cared
Mm-hmm.
about a birthday before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in my head, though, it was like, you should have had it together by 40. You should be, married. You should have your companies going. You should all these things. And I'm on a different time
Mm-hmm.
path now. And I think just realizing those relationships of people who inspire you, and then hopefully you can pay it forward, really are just so crucial and instrumental and so motivating.
Mm-hmm. They're proof, right?
Yes.
They're the proof that it can be done.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. How do you buy? I'm very super curious because you come into Utah quite a bit. Like I
Yes.
feel like you're here often. What are you doing here? Like before you were coming in to get your MBA, what are you flying in for now?
So now, I obviously have like friends and family here, and
Mhm.
I love to ski. So in the
Oh, you're
winter,
coming to ski.
yes, yes.
So with your family dynamic, are the kids with your ex-husband? Is that how?
So they're with their dad when I come up here.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
with their dad. Okay.
So if yeah, then that gives me an opportunity. And there's just a lot of great opportunities here, especially in the CPG space.
Yes.
For partnerships, for relationships, for learning from other founders. Our manufacturing is here.
Oh,
My
okay.
partners are here.
Okay.
So there's a whole lot of things going on that it's funny because sometimes I'll book a trip and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do that weekend.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden my schedule's completely filled.
Yeah. Because you're just getting.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Great opportunities thanks to women like you that you're like, wait, okay, we'll drive down, do this podcast. Then I'm going to stop at, pick up more product on the way, drop it off here, those sorts of things.
Huh. It's so cool that this is where it all started. And do you think you'll ever move to Utah? Would it make sense?
Oh, I don't know. My kids are so happy. Like, we just have an amazing community,
I love
but
Texas. Where are you at in Texas?
Houston.
I love it there. Where do
Oh,
you like live in one of like the little communities that have parks and
yes.
water play?
There's like 200 miles of bike trails. All the
Yeah,
lakes are stocked with fish.
it's
So my kids go
mind blowing
fishing.
to me.
It's honestly like a
It's
Disneyland
it
neighborhood.
really is.
And like the best thing about it is just the people.
Sure.
They are so kind and genuine and loving and just it's an incredible community to
Mhm.
raise your kids in. And I'm so grateful for that village that I have there. That I'm
Sure.
like, if I have to fly for work, I can totally handle that
Sure.
because my kids are so happy and thriving in that environment.
Interesting. That's so fascinating. A friend of mine moved to Houston a few years ago, and so another friend of mine that we're all friends, we flew out there and we've stayed there a couple times. And I just every time I go to Houston and I'm in those little communities, Woodlands?
Woodlands is one, and now the people who build the Woodlands are building my community.
Okay, okay.
So,
So that's where we were at. We were in the Woodland
yep.
community, and I was just like, why is Utah not I mean, we got thousands and gazillion kids around here. How awesome those communities are. And you're right. It is like you are poured into this community that it's just family. It's
Yes.
so cool.
It's
So
great, and
cool.
then I can have we're set up there, and then when I need to fly in for work, it's not a big deal, and it's great because I have kind of my CPG female founder community here,
Sure.
which is just so inspiring and
It is.
so incredibly grateful for.
That's awesome. So who is supporting you behind the scenes? We've kind of talked about your community, talked about your parents. Sounds like you have a fantastic business partner relationship
Yes,
there.
so
Are
grateful.
there any other people that you would like to kind of talk about that you feel like is really supporting behind the scenes that is part of your layers?
Ooh, I love this. I feel like there's so many people, right? From even just like At the I go work I every morning I get up, I get my kids off to school, I go to the gym. Usually I do like these lifting classes.
Uh-huh.
And even I would say just like from those instructors and they know kind of a little bit about what I'm doing. And it's like we're cheering each other on, right?
Sure.
That it's like from the people you just have like brief interactions with all the way to, dear friends that feel like family.
Sure.
Right. And I think building that village and giving back to that village is just so important that
I
it
love
just
it.
makes such a difference.
It does. It really does. And it is fascinating how we can even find a village. And I think it kind of speaks to the kind of person that you are, that you're even finding a village in your early morning workout sessions, right? So you
Yes.
clearly are a relationship builder and know how to love people. So they want to be in behind the scenes with you, supporting you, doing all those sort of things. So that says a lot about who you are as a person.
Oh,
Tell
you're so
me
sweet.
Tell me a little bit about what does success look like right now? Like what's your next what's success look like?
Oh, good question. I feel like success is this kind of elusive thing, right? That like, okay, so if we hit X amount in sales or if we get into this many stores or whatever. And so I feel like I often feel like I'm failing because in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, we should have hit this goal or we should be doing this or that. And then it was interesting. I was putting together a recap of this year and I was like, "Oh, we've done more than I thought."
Mhm.
Like, wow, okay, that was a crazy spring. Okay, wait, then summer got even busier. And it was a recap kind of our efforts this year at the company. And I realized that I don't know what success in terms of the business would necessarily I mean, of course, like, do I have crazy dreams? Yes. I want to change the oral care. I want to change the toothpaste aisle as you know it because there's a better way, something that will actually stick to your teeth to remineralize even longer. So, do I have crazy ambitious goals and dreams like that? Of course.
Sure.
You have to be a little crazy to
I
get
love it.
into founding
God
a
goals.
company,
I call
right?
'em. Yep. Make
Yes,
God goals.
exactly. But I also think that there's just like success in like the little moments, right? Of even just like with your family, figuring out things that make you feel more connected or that make things a little bit smoother in your house or whatever it is. So I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, I would love to be in Target and I'd
Yes.
love to, I'd love to come out with, there's so many other products within our category that we would love to look into. But I think that just being grateful. My dad always says to me, because sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so behind. There's so much more I needed to do today." And he'll just tell me, "Be grateful for what you got done. You got done a lot today." And I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't help me." But I think he's right.
Yeah.
Parents are always right.
Right.
And the just being grateful for the little bits of success or things that you have going on, and then looking to build upon those.
I love it. I love it. All right, awesome. I want you to go back and talk about, I would love to know some of the layers. Like this is called her layered life, right?
Yes.
And I want you to just kind of take a stroll back a little bit. You were a news anchor in New York. Um, you had sounds like you had significant amounts of success doing that sort of thing. What were the layers do you feel like in the steps that the Lord has blessed you with throughout your life that has really helped you become who you are today?
So I think one thing that my parents were a really good example of, my dad is an orthodontist and he's a fantastic orthodontist. And he's even more incredible, I would say, at being a people person, right? And
Okay.
connecting with people. And I remember from a young age that I would work in his office sometimes. And I remember he would ask the kids, like, oh, so what sports are you playing? How's what team are you on this fall? Blah, blah, blah. And he would take notes of it in their file so that
Oh,
that way he could on the next appointment see that and connect with them in that
yes,
way, which is
yes,
so unique, right? It's not
yes,
just like a number that we like, okay, do your adjustment, move on to the next.
sure.
And I would say my mom as well, that just always looking for opportunities to connect with people and serve others and showing up for the person that didn't have somebody showing up for them or dropping something off. Or I feel like something that I learned growing up is like when you have an impression, you just follow it. And there's been times where I've dropped off cookies for someone and they're like, hey, doing great. Thanks, Kimber. But there's also been times where I feel like you've showed up and it's been that moment that you needed to.
Mhm.
I remember very vividly during when I was in the MBA program, I was on my knees just praying one day and I was just having a really hard, there's just a lot going on. I was overwhelmed, I was exhausted, and I was just literally crying out to God in prayer. And my doorbell rang. And a girlfriend showed up at my door and she had like a little candle. And she's a fairly shy, quiet person. And she goes, I don't know why I'm here. I'm so sorry. I'll leave. I just like I needed to come drop this off.
Oh,
And I just burst into tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, come in, come in. I love you.
yeah,
Like, yes, I just was on my knees, praying my heart out for help.
yeah.
And this was, I feel like, God's way of showing me. Now, how does this relate to, like, how did that set you up for all these things? I think relationships and people just matter so much
Mhm,
and loving people. And when you genuinely take an interest in others and love them and see them, then I think that they often are so kind to share that back with you. And especially whether it's in your community, with your kids, in church, or with work, then people are willing to help you because they know that you care about them.
mhm,
And because of those genuine interests and care and concern. And yeah, just looking for ways to reach out and lift. And it's like a lot of times, like the other day, I was in a meeting and with some people who were much more senior than me, much more years of experience. And they were giving me so much advice and it was so great. And I just at the end was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah." And there was one tidbit of advice that I saw on their TikTok account, and this sounds weird to switch to TikTok now, but that they were, listing products wrong, so that basically their ads would only run to, like, 10% of their products instead of
mm,
all of them, and I could
okay.
see this error in the way their store was set up.
Mhm,
And I said to them, I said, "Look, I don't know much. I'm not an expert. I don't know anything, but I have taken a TikTok, I've worked with a TikTok expert. Here's the first thing that I think she would tell you." And they were so grateful. And I was like, "Look, I don't know anything. I don't listen to me, but I do think that this," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, wait. Our ads would run 10x better if we just put the listing together like this and nestle all of the variants under the top item." And I was like,
mhm,
"I think so." And anyways, so it's like I feel like right now I'm like, I don't have much to give. I don't have much to offer. We've only been in this year. I don't know much. But sharing what little bits you have or just looking for ways to build each other up,
mhm,
whether that's commenting on their things, liking them, speaking highly of them, whatever it may be.
mhm,
And I think that's one thing too, that to support female founded companies, it's not like you need to go buy everything.
sure,
Just cheer them on,
right.
like their stuff, comment on it, tell a friend about it, share it, whatever it may be. Just be there as a friend for them. And that is super helpful.
I agree, I agree. Tell me how you feel tell me your experience back being a news anchor.
Yeah.
What kind of experiences what did that look like, and how has that helped? How has that layered helped who you are today and kinda with Pearl Pop and the I mean, networking's networking. And
Yes.
so tell me a little bit more about that. Not a ton of time, but just like I'm just curious to hear how that all
Yes.
went down.
So I feel like that TV career that I had, which was my childhood dream. I knew
Okay.
since I was a little kid, I was a weird little kid that wanted to watch instead of Saturday morning cartoons, back when we had Saturday morning cartoons, I wanted to watch the news because I wanted to watch the news and the weather and all of that. And so I think a couple things translate from that. And one, I would think that's the connecting with people and the storytelling.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's something that's super important to me is to connect with my customer. I had a customer reach out this week and just say how they have a brother with Down syndrome and how this has been life changing for them. And I was
Oh,
like, can I
cool.
hop on the phone with you? I would love to hear about your experience and what specifically is so helpful because I would love to be able to share that and, help others.
Sure.
Anyways, these with this wonderful family now is like, hey, can we create content for you? Can we
Oh, how
share it? We're
cool.
involved with this organization. Can we pass the word on to them? Are you okay if we tell people? I'm like, sure, tell whoever you want about Real Thought.
Sure.
That's great. But I think being able to connect with people and tell their story, because it's not about our story, it's about how do we help other families, other moms, parents, kids feel empowered to
Sure.
smile more confidently, right?
Sure.
So I think that connection with people and storytelling and building, a community is important. I would also say this is silly, but I feel like so when I was a news reporter and anchor, I would do like the morning shifts. I remember one time specifically, there was a snowstorm in Connecticut. So I worked until like 11 p.m. at night. And then I had to be back on at like 4 a.m. in the morning. So I
Mm.
went to a hotel for a couple hours near our location because it was like the weather was shutting down all the roads.
Mhm.
So you couldn't drive around. So I went to my hotel for a couple hours, came back, and then worked the morning shift doing live hits a couple times an hour, talking about the snow coming down. And I think just working all those crazy hours and unpredictable situations and things like that kind of prepares you for, we don't know what we're jumping into today, but here we go. And I think it actually really helped me with motherhood because
Okay.
I actually felt like my anxiety and stress like really calmed down when I became a mom because I'm like, oh, I have to get up at 4 a.m., but I don't have to look presentable.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have to
true.
like go talk in a way that people can understand on a camera right now. All I have to do
Right.
is feed a baby. I can do that. That's
Yeah.
fine. So I think that you have to look back and realize that every step where now it's like if I'm working till late at night or whatever, I'm like, oh, I worked late at night before.
Sure.
So we can do this.
Sure. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, what a fun story. I've learned so much more about you and
Oh,
about
you're
your
so
journey.
sweet.
And before we go, I like to do like a little shotgun of questions.
Okay.
So I want to know first sale feeling, was it panic or excitement?
Excitement. It
Excitement.
was definitely like, oh my gosh, wait, they actually want this?
I love it.
I thought they would, but I don't know. You never
Yeah,
know.
you never know. You
Yes.
never know. Uh, bootstrapping or asking for help?
So we are bootstrapping it, and that obviously has its major advantages. It's also been really hard in other ways, right? Because I don't have the marketing budget that another company would.
Sure.
But for us, it's been the right journey.
Awesome. Biggest learning curves so far?
Biggest learning curve, I would say, would be so I run all of our Meta ads, our
Mhm.
Google ads, things like that. And just trying to figure out and even running your Google ads is completely different than your Meta and your TikTok. Even TikTok and Instagram, completely different. And just realizing that these are all completely different entities. The content needs to be different. The way you run the ads on them needs to be different. How you even set it up
Mhm.
is really tricky and hard. And hopefully we'll get to the point where we outsource that. But for now,
It's all you.
that's me. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Late nights or early mornings?
I would say late nights.
You're a late
It's
night.
a problem right now because my superpower, I feel like, is between 10 p.m. and like 2 a.m.
Oh, it
And
sounds
it's like,
terrible.
I think it's because nobody can call. Like, well, I
Right.
still get some calls, but very few. Like, I don't have setup calls.
Sure.
My kids are asleep. I don't feel guilty that they're like waiting for me in the other room. And so that's when I do get a lot of work done,
I love it. Well,
unfortunately or fortunately.
yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yes.
Tool you couldn't build without right now. Something that you need to build your company that you could not do without.
Oh, I mean, I would say Shopify, of course, right? That's the platform that most of us
Right.
use. I would just say too, like my iPhone. It sounds silly, but like literally, it's like I can do. It's mind boggling to me, and maybe because I'm 40 and I'm an old lady, I don't know. I feel like I'm like, wow, I can do that on my phone, but like I can do so much just from my phone
It's
in terms
crazy.
of whether it's ads or marketing or
Great
content
content.
creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, videos that you're like, wow, that looks really good. And you're like, it was shot with an iPhone. Like,
Right.
that's crazy.
It's crazy. So maybe your phone. Your phone
Yes.
is like your go-to. One thing you thought you needed, but you don't.
I think it would be that I thought I needed to know how to do something, and I realized you don't.
Yeah.
You just start trying and ChatGPT, call a friend, all the things.
All the things. One word for this season right now.
I'd say grateful.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, grateful just to have this opportunity to try this
Yeah.
and to see what we can do and to see how we can impact, like I was mentioning, the family that has a brother with Down syndrome,
Mhm.
um, hearing the impact that it's had on them. He could not squirt out the toothpaste onto the brush by himself.
Mhm.
And so this has given him this whole new layer of independence.
Oh, that's
And I
incredible.
thought that that was so cool that
That
I
is
was like, "Oh
cool.
my gosh, I had no idea
Yeah.
that that could unlock that feeling for him,
Sure.
that he can do this on his own."
Yeah.
And he's so proud that he can go into the bathroom by himself now
And brush his
and
teeth.
brush his teeth.
Good for
And I'm
him.
like, "That is really cool." It makes me so happy for them.
That's very cool. And then what keeps you going on the hard days?
I'd say my girls.
Your girls. Oh, yeah, you have 4
I have
daughters, huh?
4 girls. I
4
have 4
daughters.
girls, yep, 7 through, 13, and I feel like I am doing this for them,
Yeah.
not just to build something because I obviously need to work, but because I want to prove to them that you can do hard things. You can do things you didn't think you could do,
Mhm.
and God will be there to support you, and I'll be there to support you, and you just gotta try.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Is that kind of the one thing you would leave? Like if there was a message, if somebody came up to you right now and said, what's your go-to motto or message that you would share? What you would share?
I'd share that combined with, "You got this." Like, to every mom, I'm like, "You can do it. You have more power in you and more ability to have an impact and for good than you realize." And I think when we look for ways to have an impact for good, then that's when God blesses us to help multiply our meager pennies that we're offering.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for
Thank
being
you
here
so much, and
today.
thanks for being such an inspiration.
Well, you're
I was saying
welcome.
to you before the podcast that, like, those, paper bag ruffle shorts, I'm obsessed. In Texas, I wear them year round
I
because we
love it.
can, and yes, just what you've built and the inspiration that you are is truly amazing, that women like us who are starting this much later, look to you and go, "Okay, if they could do it," especially at a time where there were fewer people doing it, then, okay, maybe there's a chance I can too.
You
So
can.
thank you.
You absolutely can. Well, you're welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And as usual, because every business that lasts starts small, just remember that. And every layer you build now matters. Until next time, let your choices shape the world you want to see and love every layer of your life. Mwah.